Asking lawyers important legal questions, part 37.
In Ghostbusters, who was responsible for the damages to New York?
I think the Ghostbusters have to be responsible. They were doing inherently dangerous things. They were operating nuclear adjacent technology that was not regulated, and that was obviously very dangerous. And I feel like they should have foreseen that the damages would have been caused and not stored a bunch of malevolent spirits in a basement.
But it's the city of New York that releases the ghosts by messing with the Ghostbusters technology without knowing what they're doing.
Which they wouldn't have been able to do if they weren't using technology that certainly should have been regulated.
But there's no agency that regulates ghosts or ghost activities.
I think the EPA would have jurisdiction here because it's very similar to toxic substances that are really dangerous. And I think that the EPA, their authority is broad enough that I think that they would probably...
By the same token, though, the Atomic Energy Commission could, because the ghosts are effectively some kind of nuclear spirit. What is it that the Ghostbusters have done wrong other than innovate?
They're strictly liable for...
Strictly liable? Under what theory? Just for causing the damage?
Yeah, for fiddling around with nuclear stuff, which I am pretty sure that they violated some regulations pertaining to nuclear energy. I don't think anybody can with a straight face say, yes, the Ghostbusters absolutely should have just kept a stash of very dangerous ghosts in their basement that at the best case scenario were malicious, if not...
Where do they put them if they don't keep them in their pocket dimension?
Well, I think it would depend too on if there's a comparative fault jurisdiction, how much they can reduce their fault. I think they'd still have some liability regardless of whatever theory you go under for using... You don't just get to damage whatever you want to.
Because if the city of New York is the one that actually looses all of the ghosts by fiddling with technology that they have no understanding of whatsoever, they don't ask the inventors how to use the technology that they have in front of them. Instead, they impress their supposed knowledge onto it and end up breaking that technology, losing the ghost. Who's to say they're not 51% at fault? At which point, the Ghostbusters aren't really liable. I mean, they'll have to eat some damage, but they're not really liable. At that point, the city of New York's liable.
I don't know. I think the city of New York sues the Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters plead comparative fault against the whatever their name is. They haven't been gendered, but I assume it's a man because they're, awful. The city of New York sues the Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters complete a comparative fault, and then their liability is reduced by the comparative fault of the other two.